All right, I've been grinding at locals last week with some hot sauce. Sanji, leader. I think a lot of people have been trying to build this guy, and I think the approach that they're taking is incorrect. So I came up with my own version of this deck, and it all revolves around this one card from set 6 that I really wanted to be good, and it just wasn't good in like anything. And it's this card. I love this card. I think the art is so cool. When I saw it in Japanese for the first time, I was so psyched about it. And it just wasn't really good in anything. But in Sanji, in this version of Sanji, it's nuts. So I'm just going to show the deck first. This, if you just want to screenshot this and not watch the video, here's the deck. This is the layout. This is everything that's in the deck. There's a lot of flexibility in it. So this is not like exact. This left side is definitely exact. Like you have to run this. You could run 4 of this, but everything else is like kind of versatile. Anyway, I'm going to go into the list, and then I'm going to do like a one playthrough so you can just kind of see like a simulated, just running through the deck, things you look for, options, blah, 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 stuff like that. So this is Sanji. If you don't know what Sanji does, Sanji basically once per turn, you can give a card that doesn't have an on-play ability Rush. It's very strong. It's a very strong thing to do because Rush is a very good skill. But in my testing with the versions that were like mostly activate main cards and stuff like that, I found that I was just kind of doing what ST1 Luffy does, but just like my leader wasn't as good. I had one less Dawn to play with. So I kind of scrapped all my lists with that. And I realized like, okay, skill lists cards have the highest stat line, and high stat lines are good in this game. It's just better value. So I'm playing 4 of this Luffy. Basically what this Luffy does is his on play is you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and you add a film, and he can add himself. He doesn't specify. So you can add Luffy's, and his trigger does the same thing. You don't play him off the trigger, but the trigger searches. And I just love this art. Like the texture looks so good. It's so cool looking. So I really like this card a lot. I'm really psyched that it works in Sanji, and these alt arts are super cheap. They're like $2 or something like that. So for the film package, it's 4 of this Luffy. This Luffy is film, and he can also be searched by this. But this is your turn 2 play. So on turn 2, if you're going first or second, if you're going first, you're probably going to search on turn 2 and swing for 6, or you're just going to swing for 8. On turn 2, if you're going second, you're going to swing with your leader for 5, slam this guy down, and then swing for 6. So establish a 6k body that already swung on turn 2, which is very strong. There's like kind of no other decks that really do that. And then your turn 3 play is going to be Yasop. So turn 3 is either going to be 5 Dawn or 6 Dawn. So if you're going second, turn 3 is going to be Yasop. If you're going first, your turn 3 is going to be Luffy swinging for 7 and your leader for 5. But Yasop is really good because on turn 3, establishing an 8k body is just insanely strong. And again, he's film, so he's searchable by that 2-cost Luffy. And then this is just something to offset the curve. Like if you are going first, then your turn 4, you want to establish a really high stat line. So that's why I'm just playing 3 Beckman. It's really just for if you're going first. If you're going second, you're usually playing a Yasop and something else, or you're going to be playing what we're going to get to next. But Beckman is a super high stat line. This card was crazy in like the set 1 meta. In starter deck Luffy, this card, or in ST1 Luffy, this card was really good. So there was a time when this card was cracked. Not too much utility now, but our next card is Shanks. So Shanks is kind of like the boss monster in this deck. Sanji only gives Rush to cards that cost 8 or less. And this is the highest stat line that you could get on an 8-cost card is 10k power with no on play. So, and it has counter power, which is amazing, right? Like usually your boss monsters don't have counter power, but everything in this deck pretty much has counter power, which is really nice. So playing this on turn 4 or turn 5, like once you just start slamming down 10 cost bodies, they have to deal with this, right? Like you can't leave this. If this stays for like 2 turns, it just gains way too much value and you just win the game. So Shanks is really great. Also, that's searchable by Luffy. And then I'm playing 2 of the Chopper blockers just because there's certain situations where like you need to remove something, right? So you can play this, give it rush, put 2 Dawn on it, and then you're swinging for 6 into anything that's going to be -3. So there's certain situations where this is actually more just like immediate removal, where you're establishing a body that they're going to want to swing into, because if they don't, then you get a blocker or something that can gain you a lot of removal value again. So I'm playing 2 of those choppers, and then I'm playing 4 Nico Robin just because you have to get rid of Rebecca's and what's his name, Rosinante's. Rebecca's and Rosinante's must go. They absolutely must go. They are a problem for this deck. They're very pesky and annoying, and you just have to remove them. And she's just very, very quick, cheap removal that also establishes a body that could potentially swing like late game, right? Because you can play a Luffy for 4. You still have 6 Dawn up. You can put 3 here, swing 5 here, 7 leader, 7 Luffy. So that's still, you can still get decent swings in. Brook, I'm playing 3. This is definitely a flex spot. This is not mandatory at all. Just the film stuff is majorly mandatory, and I think Robin you have to play. Chopper also is kind of flexible, but Brook is really, 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 really great because he minuses to 2 things. So you can play Brook, give him rush, put a Dawn on him, swing 6 into a character, give it -2, and give another character -2, so you can just swing with it at your leader and just like clear a board. So Brook is really strong in this deck. I think 4 would be good, but I'm just running 3 right now. The MVP in the deck for sure is Wapol. I think Wapol, no matter what version of Sanji you're running, I think you have to run him at 4 because 9,000 rush and a -2 to something and staying at 8k on your opponent's turn is like probably one of the best cards in the game. This doesn't have rush usually, so nobody plays it because it just gets removed. Because if you let a Wapol stick and you don't deal with it, like you're going to be in deep, deep trouble. So everybody removes this card. That's why nobody plays this card. But when this card has rush, it's absolutely insane. So if on your 7 Dawn turn, you can slam this down and put a Dawn on him and swing. That's really why we're only playing 3 Beckman, because like this is a much better 7 Dawn investment than Beckman, in my opinion, because he's going to rest at an 8k base. It does cost 1 less, so like black, it's a little easier to remove him, but you're giving something -2 power. So if they have like a 5k that's annoying to deal with and you just don't want to deal with it, you can swing 9 at their leader, give that -2,000, and then swing at it with your leader. Or if you have a Luffy searcher, you can even swing at it with a Luffy searcher. So he's just very, very insanely good value. I highly, highly recommend 4 of. I think you need to run 4 of him in every version. Sanji is also crazy in this deck, but I'm just running 1 because I feel like when you run 1 copy of a card, it's spicier, and I think this is very spicy. So I'm just running 1 Sanji. You can swing for 7k. Like he can close games out really, really easily. So I think 1 of him is good and fine. I'm playing these 2 blockers. The blockers I've tinkered around with a lot. I also like Karina in the deck. So I think Baccarat is probably my favorite. Shiraya is useful, but I feel like people are just going to remove him no matter what. People kind of sleep on this a little bit. They don't really know what this card does, and they're not like, oh, that's really annoying, I'm going to get rid of it. But she's kind of nuts because she just turns any card into your hand into a 2k. So like once per turn, you can trash a card and give a leader or character plus 2,000. So as long as she's on the board, like any dead card in your hand, which there's not many of in this deck, but any 1k counter just immediately becomes a 2k. So she's kind of cool. And then, there's certain matchups like Katakuri or like Dofi has to bounce this, and you'd rather have this bounce than like one of your Luffy's or something. So I think that this is fine. There's definitely flexibility, but for the blockers, like you want to play film blockers because they're searchable by the Luffy. So I think keeping everything to film is good, and there's some good film blockers. Playing 4 Beppos because this is a searchable 2k. I'm sorry that they're not all blinged out, but I literally have not won a single Beppo. I've only won puddings. Like every locals that I've won, it's just puddings constantly. I have so many winner puddings. and not a single winner Beppo, so I don't have any in this deck, but I do like this art better than the original art. But searchable 2K, and Beppo can get in there. So for 4 Dawn, like, you can clear a lot of blockers, right? Because Beppo is -3, you kill a 3K power. So even if they have a 5K power and you have a Wapol on board, you swing with a Wapol with 1 Dawn on it, you give it -2, and then you play Beppo, and then you swing just Beppo for 3,000 just to kill it. You can kill it. You can pop a 3,000 or less. So there's some niche situations where Beppo does get in there. I will sometimes even play this against Bonnie and just swing for like nothing just to clear blockers, because then they will swing into the Beppo just to remove it, just to, you know, be cheeky, so I can swing leader still, and then, you know, swing whatever, clear. It's kind of useless, but it's 2K, so that's the main thing. Saga is like kind of nuts, actually. A lot of this card, when you read it, it seems really bad, because you have to trash a film character at the end of your turn in order for him to stay on board. So basically, Dawn X1, when he swings, he gets plus 1,000 power, and you have to trash something at the end of the turn. So if you're playing into black, like, black is going to remove your Luffy anyway. It's good to make them do it and use their removal. But if you're like, okay, I just have a Saga in hand and I have 5 Dawn, like, you can swing with your leader for 5 and then swing Saga for 7. You have to pop Saga at the end of the turn, but you're still getting a 7K swing in, and he was probably going to die anyway. Or if you have a Luffy Searcher on board, you can swing Saga for 7, pop your Luffy Searcher, and then he just sits and he's going to be a 5K swing for the rest of the game, until you get like to the end of the game if you need to swing like 7K or something. So Saga, I think, is very, very, very good for a 2K. I think this is a very strong card just because he has Rush in this deck. And then for counter stuff, I'm playing 1 Red Hawk just because, I don't know, I trigger this like way too much and win games off of it, so I feel like 1 is fine. 4 Rad Beam because it's super strong, and then I'm playing 2 Round Table. So Round Table, there's 2 reasons why I play Round Table. One is because like on your 8 Dawn turn, if you have a Luffy Searcher on board, if they have a big body, like if they have a Jack or something and no blockers, you just Round Table it and swing into it with a Luffy, and you're swinging 3 into -2, so like that's a 5K difference. If they did not remove that little Luffy, or you swing with your leader into a -2, that's a 7K difference, or you just pop any, like most stuff with Robin, right? So the Luffy can swing into anything, right? There's nothing really higher than a 13K stat line. So you round table and you swing into a Luffy, the Searcher can hit it. Anything that's 10 or less, you round table it and Robin can pop it. So it's just removal of anything for 5, I think is pretty strong. But usually in this deck, you're not really playing the removal game. You're really just playing like you want to slam big bodies down and make them deal with it. And if they don't have it and they don't deal with you fast enough, you just deal with them and then they're cooked. So I'm going to do like a quick just playthrough hand. I'm not actually playing against anybody, but it's kind of going to be like a simulation of, you know, this is what I feel like you're looking for. These are the things you're trying to do. I feel like sometimes this is helpful for me. Like when I put a deck together, I'll just like shuffle it out and draw 5 cards and like play like I'm playing against somebody, and you know, pretty relatively similar things happen turn to turn like when you're playing a game. So I'll just imagine like those are the things that are happening, you know, like, oh, I take a life here, they clear this, like seems believable. So I'll try and build some of that into it a little bit. I don't have anybody to play with right now exactly. Since I just pile shuffled, I'm just going to take a quick look, and let's look and see if this looks pretty well separated. That's all right. That looks reasonably fine. Sure. Okay. So let's pretend that our opponent is cutting our deck. And for the purpose of just making this deck better, I'm just going to pretend that we're going second. It kind of puts us on a little bit of a better curve. So let's say there's 5 cards there. How's this hand? That's fine. That's a perfectly fine hand. We have 2 2Ks. We have our Searcher. We have our turn 3 play. So that's like good. I like that. All right. So we're going to put our deck over here and our life over here and our leader over here. I'm going to try and get everything. My face is going to disappear for this part so you guys can see everything. So, all right. So for our, and yeah, our Dawn deck too. Also Kaizoku cards. I made all this Dawn deck and and this leader. So if you like my leaders and stuff, please, you know, check out Kaizoku cards and support. So they're gonna go first. They're gonna do their turn 1 play. We're gonna go turn 2, draw another 2K. We get 2 Dawn, and we're gonna pay those 2 Dawn for our Luffy. We're looking for the 4-cost Luffy is kind of the target we're looking for. Shanks is a perfectly fine target also. Yasop, we already have one, so we're gonna take this Shanks because we want that. And then these are gonna go to the bottom of the deck. And then we don't do anything else for that turn. Their next turn, they're probably gonna swing at us, and we wanna take that first life. It's a Wapol, that's nuts, that card is crazy. And then we're gonna pass to our turn, so we're gonna go for our turn, get 2 Dawn. We don't really have our Luffy here, so what we could do, and Saga, we don't really want to play a Saga. I don't think swinging for 5 here like means anything. So on this turn, like if we don't have anything to play, I'd probably just swing. So you can put 2 Dawn on your Luffy and swing your Luffy for 5, and then swing your leader for 7, and that's pretty good. You know, that's a pretty good turn 2 play, getting a 5 and a 7 in. Then they're probably going to remove this Luffy and swing into it with something. I feel like if they're swinging into the Luffy, they probably won't swing into your life, but let's just say they do swing into our life. We'll take the life. It's a Robin. Okay, and then we're going to go for our turn. So here we have our 6 Dawn turn, and we playing Yasop because that man is nuts. So right now establishing an 8K is crazy. So before we do anything, we just swing 5, just poke somewhere, leader, character, I don't know, whatever. And then immediately after, we're going to spin 6 Dawn and slam down this laughing Yasop. And Yasop's either going to swing into the life or remove some threat. They're usually not going to have anything with an 8K stat line by this point, right? They just had 5 Dawn. There's like nothing really that goes there. And then they're going to try and remove your Yasop, and you're going to guard your Yasop because you want it to live. So we're going to give 1 2K for 1 swing, and then they're going to try and swing into it again, and we're going to give them another 2K, and they can't remove a 10K. So unless they're playing black, and then they just like do their shenanigans and remove it. So we're going to draw for turn, and then we're going to get some Dawn. We get 2 more Dawn, and then we're just swinging. You know, this is the name of the game. This is the Sanji game. You just swing 5, you swing 8, you slam down Shanks, and then you swing 10, and then they're going to play stuff. They're going to try and at least remove the Yasop, and they probably will by this point, but we don't care because we got Wapol next turn, so nothing matters. So let's say on their defensive turn they can't deal with the Shanks, but they are able to deal with the Yasop, and then they push a life off of us as well to see if we take it or not. But we want to take it because we have a Rad Beam in hand, and we want to be at 2 anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to draw for our turn. And then, they may have some pesky blocker out at this point. So we may just, pay 1 to pop a blocker, right? We want to get that blocker out of there. Let's say there's like one of their like little weenie blockers. We'll pay 1 for a Robin, pop that blocker. And then we swing 5 lead. They counter out of that because they have to because they're almost dead. Then we're swinging 10 with Shanks, and they take that because they have no choice and they don't know what we're going to play next. And our options here are either Beckman or Wapol. But I feel like really probably like unless we're clearing a character, you want to slam Beckman down because here we're going to slam Beckman. That's 3 7 Dawn. And then we can actually swing with Beckman for 10 because it leaves us up with 1 for the Rad Beam. So we go Beckman for 10. And then they're probably almost dead by this point. Let's say like they live somehow. And then they're like, oh, we got to kill you. And they have like 4 swings. So let's say they have a 5, 7, a 9, and a 10. Let's just say that those are their swings, right? So they're going to go 5, and we're going to give them 6. Then they're going to go 7, and we'll take the 7. And that's the Luffy we were looking for in the beginning. Then they're going to go 9, and then we want to bait them into a false sense of security because we know that all they can do is 10 after that, and they're going to swing for game and swing out if we take this. So we take the last life, round table, doesn't do anything for us, and then say they swing. Let's say they swing 12 for their last swing. Okay, so that's no problem because we have a Rad Beam. That puts us at 9, and then we have a 2K to 11, and then we have another 2K to 13. So then we have this huge board, and we slam down Wapol, and we just call it GG's. So Sanji is super, super fun. I highly recommend you guys give this deck a try. It's very cheap to build. There's not like all these film cards are like cents. So you can pick them up very easily. They look great. It's a fun looking deck to play, and it's just like a real gas deck. You know, people are expecting you to be playing stuff that's like activate main this, activate main that. No on play stuff, but this is just like I'm playing huge bodies that pretty much my whole deck is searchable, and I'm gonna push your doo-doo in and you better have an answer for it, or else you're cooked, my guy, because that's what Sanji does. He cooks. This man cooks, and I've been cooking with him. So I hope you like this. If you do like my custom cards, kaizokucards.com is my website. You can find my custom cards there. I'm also launching my sticker website soon. It's going to be called Prism Slaps, so be sure to check it out. I'm doing prismatic, like holographic textured stickers. I'm really excited about that. I am a dentist. I can't end without a dental tooth tip. My dental tooth tip to you would be, I've been talking about this lately, but malocclusion. Over the course of your life, your teeth move into a position the way they take forces they're not supposed to take, and you can correct that by straightening your teeth. It's one of the best investments you can make. Sometimes insurance will even help pay for it. I am a dentist in Princeton, and I do straighten teeth, and putting your teeth in the position that they're taking the forces that they're designed to take is one of the best things that you can do for your teeth. If you're in this area, come by. I'm happy to even do a free consult for you and just tell you what I think. I like helping people out, so if you're in the area, please feel free to come by my office, and I'd love to help get you on the right track. I'm Joku DMD. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you all next week for another deck profile. I'm back at it, baby.